Welcome to A Woman's Brew, where women talk about beer. In today's episode, we're once again bringing you some of the most interesting, weird, and wonderful ingredients the brewing industry has to offer. I'm Joanne, and this is Tori.
Hello, hello.
And we're two beer-loving women on a mission to get more people drinking and talking about great beer. Come join us.
I'm wearing my Sabro shirt because I thought we were talking about
air quotes weird ingredients.
weird and interesting ingredients.
Okay.
And I think for me, I love Sabro.
I love
some
Sabro.
People are like, oh, it's controversial. I guess we should be like controversial ingredients.
Controversial, yeah. I feel like
hops not controversial for the second you put Sabro in front of it. Controversial. I also couldn't find. I was trying to find the most like interesting shirt I had to like wear for this.
Yeah.
In terms of like weird or interesting ingredients or something like that. I think my bad bitches drink good coffee shirt, I thought, oh, I almost wore that. But then I was like, well, that's not, I think everyone can agree, or 99% of people can agree, coffee's not even controversial.
It's not.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
But I was like, Sabro, that is, that
splits the room.
Conversation.
Interestingly, so I was working on some stuff at work the other day. We've got a big conference coming up, so there's lots of proofreading to be done on things, and I was doing that for some bits. And I was reading through some of the descriptions of some of the hops, and Sabro, usual like pineapple, creamy, coconut. Also, someone put spicy on there.
Spicy?
I don't think I've ever picked up spicy from Sabro.
Maybe they put the wrong thing down.
I don't know. There was also some other there was some other bits that I was like, that's what we're going with. Okay, okay, that's fine. Anyway, I feel like we've been planning this episode for a while,
a really long time.
Yeah, we collected these together, and we've had them, and we just haven't got around to recording it.
I think one of these, the first one that we're gonna have, I think arguably we've had one of the longest ones we've had, because we just couldn't find anything to match its energy.
Yes,
that's the only thing I can say. It's got big unique energy.
Yes,
and I struggled to find anything that I thought could even remotely. It took us ages to find anything we thought could remotely pair with it, and we even thought, like, where else can we slot this in episode one?
Yeah,
but it, for me, was just so unique, so interesting, that I was like, I don't genuinely even, it would be, no matter what topic we chose to use it for, I think it would have been incredibly difficult to find things to just
it would have been
match its energy.
Proper left field coming out. So you'll see what that is in a minute. We're going to keep that a little secret for a second. But I do feel like this episode has actually come at quite a timely moment, because I don't know if you've seen, there's been some conversations around ingredients that are used in beer within the last week. There have been some calls for maybe we need to look at our own Reinheitsgebot type rules here in the UK. If you've missed our episodes about what that is the German purity law, which was like set in the 1500s, and it was to keep the ingredients. The main ingredients of beer are malt, hops, yeast, and water. And the purity law means that brewers can only use those ingredients. But that was brought in to stop grains that were used for bread and foodstuffs to not go into beer, because it was a period of time where food was scarce. Like, that's the reason that they have a purity law. It's not because more interesting, innovative things shouldn't be happening. But there's been a bit of a call that maybe we need that, because someone's got upset that there's weird, air quotes, interesting, air quotes, ingredients in different beers. On the flip side of that, I think, people might be saying and thinking, we're the current situation of the world. Why are we trying to restrict breweries from making things that people want to buy? Like, why are you making things more? Why would you want things to be more difficult for brewers? But also, why are we stopping innovation?
But also, like, there's things talking about the way things are in the current climate as well, like reusing waste, for example. If you've got this, like, clearly, you can use this, you can't use this. there might be really innovative, creative ways to reuse, like food waste,
Yeah,
stuff like that. It's like,
exactly.
oh, if you're going to go, you can't use that. You can't use, pasta to
Right.
make a beer, and you can't use, you know, imperfect cereal to create a beer. You can't use. There's lots of things. It's like, oh, if you're saying you can't do this, current climate, I think people should be encouraged to be creative with
Yeah.
whatever is out there for them to use. That could be really good in sustainability, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's just my too uneducated
Yeah,
take
that's,
on
and
the
I mean,
topic.
I think there are enough breweries out there that if you don't want to drink a beer that's got additions to it, you can find a brewery that's creating very, standard. There's not a good word for it because I don't want to say standard. I don't want to say simple. I don't want to say, just follow those
No frills.
rules. No
Straightforward.
frills. Yeah, no frills, straightforward beers. There are plenty of breweries that are doing that. Why do we then need to restrict breweries that are trying to do something different? Just don't buy it. Just
Yeah, and I
don't
guess
look
I
at
also
it.
kind of feel,
Scroll on.
why do we kind of compare things as
Yeah.
well that are like very much not the same? I think that
Yeah.
there's a lot of like comparison of like this really straightforward no frills is really good, and this creative innovative thing, or vice versa, this really
Yeah.
creative innovative thing has all these amazing depths of flavors, and this straightforward no frills one doesn't. And it's like, yeah, okay, well, they're two very different things, and they
Yeah.
should be taken in their own merits, and like both can be really good, and you can be in the mood for one more than the other, and vice versa on
Yeah.
any given day, depending on the situation, depending on your mood, depending on what's going on.
Yeah. And like it's as if you haven't listened to last week's episode where we talked about session stouts, we proved that just because it's no frills doesn't mean it doesn't have depth of flavour either, actually. Like,
But
they can still
equally,
be complex. Like,
what we're about to have today is, I feel like this is also a very timely episode, because this is very much the opposite.
it's completely the opposite of last week's episode. Completely the opposite. It's very true. So true.
I'm glad actually we put that out first to
Yeah.
make that point, before
Yeah.
we circle back around to what we're about to do today.
Yeah.
Honestly,
All right, so we're going to get down from our
I'm really
soapboxes.
excited. Yeah.
If you have an opinion on this as well, contact us. Let us know.
Yeah.
We want to hear your comments.
I think there's always going to be people that are the why
Yeah.
can't beer just taste like beer people, and there's always
Yeah.
going to be the people that are like,
let's put all the things in it.
The omnipolo of,
Yeah.
of you're like, here's, we picked out 5 random ingredients from a bowl and we're going to make them work. And respect. Like, there's always going to be both sides. And hopefully today some of these interesting ingredients might show why we are pro creativity. I don't know. I'm really excited about the first one. I can't wait.
I'm so excited about the first one. I've been waiting to drink this for so long.
What I think is really interesting about this one as well is this brewery. It's one that we have like super championed in terms of like what we have really been praising, I think, a lot. And if you haven't guessed them by now, like it'll be really clear in a minute. But what's funny is we never talk about them for this particular, like, this is something that is so, from what we talk about them for, so out of left field and like just completely different in some ways. Obviously there's that creative aspect, but just in the terms of like what it is, I think that no one would ever go, oh, if I always forget that this brewery is the one who made this, because it is so not the style
so I think that's interesting, because I think it very much goes back to how this brewery used to brew. Like, I don't think they've strayed far from what they did, but when I first got into this brewery, probably just before lockdown, just as we were getting into all of that, started to buy more when we could start ordering to home. This is the sort of thing they used to do, and now they've got very using interesting flavors, and I think they've kind of slightly changed the way they did. But I think they did used to do this,
and I don't think gimmicky, but I don't think so. Would use that term gimmicky.
Yeah, but actually, I think this is the kind of thing that they used to do, and they should probably do a bit more of it, because I love it. Anyway, should we show people what it is? Because we've been
introducing around it. I wanted to give people enough time to guess who I was going to be talking about, and let's see if you guessed it right.
We've got Yonder's Nature's Elixir. I've been so excited. When this first came out, I didn't manage to grab one and I thought I wasn't going to get it. So the thing that's exciting about this, listeners, is that it is a barrel-aged birch sour porter. And so it has not been made with water. It has been made with 100% birch sap to replace the water. And we'll get into that into a minute because this is all this bit the way they made this beer and what their choices were and things were just fascinating. When it first came out, I saw it and was like, that's interesting. I want to drink that. Didn't manage to get one the first time round. And then I think we were doing a big order for the podcast and I happened to come across it on like Trembling Madness and I was like, I'm buying that. Do you want to get one too?
And I was like, that sounds the most interesting. Right. So I was definitely down for it. So.
It's also mix firm.
Which loves tick that box.
And it was barrel aged. So it's all the things.
And I think, so it's got the, there's this chaga in it as well. I don't know if I've pronounced that properly, but apparently I looked into that and that's a medicinal fungi that grows on birch. And that was added to the boil. So that's super interesting as well. I think for me as well, what made me gravitate to this as well is outside of beer as well. I'm big into coffee and I'm big into food. Like I could say I'm a foodie, but I feel like I'm not because I feel like when someone says foodie, you think that they're always eating really like posh, fancy stuff. For me, it's not. When I say I'm a foodie, I mean like I just like food a lot. I really, really like food and good food. And it doesn't matter if it's a really good takeaway or, fast food or sometimes over the weekend, I said to someone, I'm a garbage. I don't eat takeaway food I don't eat fast food because I want the authentic experience. I eat it because it's garbage and I know it and I'm garbage. So that is how I approach it. But I have no like barriers to entry there. It's kind of like, if anything, I think I don't go to that higher end of like the Michelin star thing,
right.
But I
really
same. Love the whole like beer and food pairing and like really good quality food with a really good quality drink. So obviously the collab on this as well was with Chef Brad Carter and Bella Wild Food. And I thought for me, the fact that it was like a collaboration with a chef as well, I was like super excited about that. And I wanted to save it initially before we decided to do a podcast episode. I was like, I'll have some good food with it. And then we're like, no, let's use it for a podcast episode. So.
And here we are.
I'm not going to get to pair it with food. Sad.
No, I'm just going to drink it. I think we need to crack it open before we get into the talking about it because I think we're going to have a lot to say about this one.
I was so confused about serving temperatures of this one as well. So I took it out of the fridge so it would get slightly
it's a porter.
warm, and it's still but then the soured aspect of it as well. I was like,
oh, it smells amazing.
It does. Ooh. The funky sour aspect, I think, is where I was a bit like, but then what temperature do I serve it at? I don't know. It looks beautiful as well.
It is a beautiful colour.
It is. You've got almost like a... Like when I hold it up to the light, there is quite like a chestnut, like ruby sort of highlight to it.
Ruby, yeah. And it's got a nice kind of foamy beige head on it.
Yeah, I mean, the head on mine didn't last very long, but there's like a beige ring around it.
It smells so good.
It smells interesting as hell.
Yeah.
I will say, it just sounds incredibly interesting. And it's funny, with the birch water aspect of it, I made a note. My first note on this was just brewed with all the water in the brewing process, replaced with sap, naturally tapped from birch trees in spring. And then it was ... how even in all caps.
So interesting. So there is a whole blog post about this on Yonder's blog. So I will put the link to that in the show notes if you want to go read it. I'm not going to, we're not going to go through everything that's in that blog post, but there's interesting things that we will pull out. So they had to, I read this earlier today. So beer, if you didn't know, is about 90 to 95% water. So taking all the water out, that's a big thing. Yonder reckon that they use roughly 1,000 litres of water for a brew on their smallest batch. Each birch tree that they use to get the sap from in spring will produce around 5 litres of sap per day. So they needed to tap 40 trees each day over 5 days to get enough water for this brew. They didn't think that was too bad of something to have to do, according to the blog.
I feel like that is just... It was just the idea of replacing, like, having been in several like sort of commercial level brew days now as well.
Yeah,
seeing how much water actually goes into it. The idea that it's that water's being replaced, to me, was just mind blowing, and especially because obviously, and this could be so, my thoughts on how it's done may be completely different, but it's just like the idea of having to change the temperature of that water and boil it, and normally like some of your tooling kind of does that for you, but if you're replacing everything water wise with something else, like that must be so much more. There's so much more painstaking commitment goes
because you
into
can
that.
end up losing some, like, you know, what if you need to top it up a little bit? Like, it's not like you can just get it out of the tap. If that 1,000 litres isn't enough, that's it, you're done.
Can't even, or like what if the like there just wasn't enough coming out of the trees? Like,
Yeah,
you've planned to do, like, how do you even?
yeah,
that's what I just put. How even? That's all I could put out in all caps. How even?
yeah.
All right, can we sip it? Let's sip it.
Yeah, because it smells amazing. I like it.
I really like it. It's incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how it was going to be because obviously we've kept on to this for quite a while now. So I was worried that there was a potential that it may not be as easy drinking, or I don't know, flavors may not be as... I don't know, but it is... First sip, really enjoy.
Like, it's got that lovely acidity. There's a woodiness. And there's like... It's not burnt sugar. It's almost maple syrupy.
Interestingly, not really in the sip itself, but what's kind of lingering on the back now, a few sips in, that I'm trying to place, there is almost like a very, very subtle nuttiness that's coming out as well. And I'm wondering if that's that like porter aspect, but it gets, because of the wild, funky nature of it, that sort of gets toned down quite a lot. But then actually, like, when you've swallowed your sip, you're kind of on that exhale afterwards, there's this little bit of flavour that I tried to place, and I was like, okay, took a few sips in, and then I was like, it's a nuttiness that's just lingering there for me. Anyways,
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. Like, there's almost a touch of cold brew coffee in there. Like, it makes me think,
It's
and
really
this is
smooth.
Yeah, it's really smooth. There's like, so it just makes me think of being in the woods on a crisp autumn day. That's what it makes me think of.
5.8%.
That's very
So
niche.
I was like, let me check the
5.8.
ABV.
That's not bad.
5.8%. Yeah, I expected, because the other ones are going to have later, I kind of was like, oh, how bad is this one going to be in terms of ABV? 5.8%, not bad, very sessionable. And I think, completely agree with you. It makes me think of, like, I just went out for a walk this morning. Rick and I took Phelan out into the woods near our house and did like a nice walk, and it was quite brisk. Is the definition I will use, the terminology I'll use, brisk. So this makes me think of like walking around on a brisk, just early winter day, in nature, and coming back and having that wild, interesting beer. And I think it is really smooth, really surprisingly easy drinking. And I think even with the funkiness in it, there's so much like depth and complexity to this, with, like I said, that nuttiness that's so like hidden in the back.
Yeah.
However, I feel like I'm not saying that this is necessarily something an entry-level person would necessarily enjoy, but I feel like I wouldn't be as hesitant to try to maybe bring this out with someone that is more entry-level and wanting to get into funky stuff.
Same.
Because I think it is so smooth and easy drinking that you go, okay, well, if you want to go like hard mode on your intro level, this would probably be the good starting point for someone that maybe wants to be way more into, like, wants to really, really get into it and not just decide if they like it or not.
And it's about I think it's about, there's so much complex flavour in there that if you want to get you are a beer taster, even if you're starting out and you're a beer taster and you want to taste things and, do this thing that we're doing right now where you're picking apart it and working out what's happening and why all these things are so great. Like, even if you're starting out, this beer will make you go, ooh, because there's so much in it to like contemplate. And it's let's sit and sip and enjoy and think about it beer. And this is the sort of thing we want to stop if we don't let people put interesting ingredients in, ?
I think as well as like, as this is moving, it would be interesting to see if you're getting this as well. As this is moving from that like immediate, because it starts off immediately like that funky, sour, really complex sort of like layer. And then it kind of, for me, the point between it goes that funky, sour, immediately sort of catches your interesting side of things, to that nutty aftertaste. I'm almost now getting a bit of like tobacco-y element in it as well, which is really quite interesting because it's just it so harmoniously moves between that funky sour to that really smooth, like more nutty porter element, and there is that like sort of transition period of that like tobacco-y type flavor that's kind of moving, helping with that transition, and I'm finding it incredibly interesting. I feel like I just want to cozy up by the fire. Like, I want to sit by the fireplace and watch a film or something while sipping on this. I don't know.
It's like making me a little bit sad.
Some cheese with it.
It's making me a little bit sad that I've only got one, and that we're talking about it and we're saying how great it is, and listeners, you might not be able to get hold of it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that we've done this to you. You probably
won't
can't
be able to get hold of it.
If you haven't had it, I'm so sorry, because it's great. But you should definitely buy more Yonder beer.
I'm more sad that I'm only going to have it this one time.
Right.
That I don't have more of it. I'm sorry. I feel worse that I feel worse for that than I do that other people aren't going to be able to have it.
I am a big advocate for a sour porter and a sour stout, though. I feel like people are like, oh, sour stouts, but actually, it's that chocolate, like with a sour stout in particular, it's that chocolate and then tart acidity that's almost like a chocolate covered fruit that I really like about a sour stout. Sour porter, it's almost, I don't know, because this is kind of sweet. I say sweet, but it's not really. But there's that acidity coming through with, like, it's like a really good cup of coffee, like we were saying the other day, like where you get those coffees that are like with the berries and where like an espresso's got a really good acidity to it and it's really beautiful. That's what a sour porter is like. Beautiful.
I think sometimes there can be, with sour stouts and sour porters, it can be really hard if the balance isn't right to make it as enjoyable. Like, it's not, when it's done right, it's good. If it's not pulled off in like a balanced way of balancing those flavors and that acidity, it can be really hard to get somebody into them if they're not a person that likes that complexity anyways. But I feel like this one genuinely is so balanced. Well, it's balanced while maintaining high complexity levels that I feel like it keeps someone like me interested, but easily could give this to somebody else that's maybe not as far along in their beer journey, and they would still probably appreciate, like, because I think sometimes as well, even if it's like, oh, it's not for me, or it's too much for me right now with where I'm at, I think that the way this is made and the flavors you're getting and the way it's landing and the way it's balanced, I couldn't imagine someone trying this and mistaking this for a quote unquote bad beer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you know how we have those conversations of people go, oh, I'm not, just because they're kind of not there in their journey and it doesn't really match their flavors, and it's something that is off-putting to them because it's either too strong in a certain flavor or whatever, or, you know, I don't like sours, but I'm having a sour, that type of element. People can go, oh, it's not good because I don't, it's just, I didn't like this about it and I didn't like this about it. I think that this is undeniable that
It's
it is
it's
a very
a great beer.
interesting made
Yeah.
beer. Like, it would be really hard for someone that's like, I don't like funky stuff, but I'm trying this, to be like, but it's just not well made. Like,
Yeah. No way.
I
It's
feel like this.
absolutely
I feel
beautiful.
luxurious. I don't know if it's the label or because I know so much about it, but I feel luxurious drinking it.
Yeah.
I
So
feel like I
good.
should be in a fancy restaurant having a really nice meal, like a farm to table restaurant, by a fire, having this beer with a really nice meal.
Yeah, definitely. Oh. And then as well, we haven't even said that because it's barrel aged. So once it was brewed, it was then put into oak barrels for 10 months. So that adds to all of the goodness as well,
You've
with
got their
wild
cultures
yeast,
in there,
with
yeah.
wild cultures, with Brettanomyces and Pediococcus, like just all the good stuff in this. Goodness. So
The
good.
stuff you want.
Oh, I'm very pleased that we got to
It's
try
hard to
it.
move on from that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm really sad, but I guess we've got to drink the others. We might have peaked
Have
again.
to.
Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? We
We
did this
peaked.
last time.
Well, I thought this would be the best one to put at the
I
beginning, just
mean,
because it is
definitely,
so different to the
but
others. But no, I'm a bit sad. I like the glassware I've got as well. If you're watching the video,
oh yeah, you
got
got
it
your.
from the We Are Beer Festival in Bristol.
I didn't
And
get
it's
one of
like,
those in the end, you know.
it's like a UFO style glass. I've got an extra one. I can give you my extra
Ooh,
one.
thanks.
But I love it. It's great. It's so. You've given me enough glassware. I think I can take it back.
I've got another box for you as well.
It's it's like a teku without the stem almost.
Oh yeah, it's a
I love it.
Teku tumbler.
Just it makes me feel a bit. It's a way of having like a stemless glass, but still feeling fancy.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
I will put the link to that blog post in the show notes so you can go and have a read, because it's so interesting how they did it. Go and have a read about
And if
it.
you can find it, try to find it, but you won't. Like, just try to see if there's someone you know.
We're so sorry.
Try to see if there's someone you know that has it, and maybe offer to make them a nice fancy dinner to pair with it.
Yeah. Maybe they got it in the stash, like we have. All right, second one. This one's interesting. It's from Kees, and it's called Purple is the New Black. You found this one, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I mean, this is one that I think people may know from like quite a few months back. It is basically, it's a pastry stout that has been brewed with ube. So yeah, I think I've heard multiple different ways to pronounce that as well. So
Okay.
I've got ube and ubi. Like I've heard, I'm going with ube because that's the one that seemed like the most consensus. But if you've got the correct way to say, so effectively what that is it is it's effectively a sweet potato from the Philippines. So if you're Filipino and you know the definite correct way to say it, let me know. But that is what I'm going to go with. Yeah, I think what we should be getting from this when we pour it is it should make a surprise to no one, a purple color when you pour it.
Ooh.
And I remember it taking the forums by storm because people were like, it's purple, that's interesting. And for me, I was like, yeah, I'll give it a go. I just want to see, and I want to see if it's just like a gimmick or if you can actually taste any difference. But
yeah,
I guess from this label, so ube, from what I know, is it is a sweet potato, but according to the label, it's actually a purple jam from the Philippines, consisting of a sweet potato, coconut, and vanilla. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, it's actually a yam that's native to Southeast Asia. So I think Philippines, Indonesia, Vietnam, and there's a lot of good cultural significance in the Philippines, for example, where they use it for traditional dishes, for celebrations, special occasions, all that jazz. So I think what it's most known for is the bright shade of purple. So it gets that from something called, now I am not scientific in the slightest, so apologies in advance. Science and math were my worst subjects, so I'll give it a go. But from something called the anthocyanin pigments. So they are known for their antioxidant properties, but it can range from a lavender to a deep purple. So because of this food is actually used as a natural food colorant in dishes, and it's become more popular in recent years because of that like beautiful purple color that it gives, pigment that it gives to things. So we'll talk about what flavors we should get from sort of that yam in general, and we'll see if it comes in. But shall we pour it and see if we get that beautiful
let's see if we get
purple color?
purple.
I mean,
I've got my purple Women on Tap t-shirt on today.
The photos of it look very purple, but then you don't know if there's any sort of like changes made post to the color. All right, let's pour it. I'm gonna pour
it's green.
It's green.
Mine's green.
What?
Is yours green?
No.
Mine's green.
I'm now. Hold on. I'm gonna get my torch out. Yours is green.
It's like it's looking in the glass. It's not as green, but
look, mine's definitely purple.
Mine's green. Yeah, yours is purple. Mine's green. How is mine ended up being green?
Let me see yours. Hold on, I can't properly see yours. Hold yours up. Let me see this. Cow.
Oh, it looks like yellowy there, but to the eye it's green. That is like
odd. I mean, mine is definitely what I'm expecting. Yours definitely looks different.
Yeah. Mine looks different from yours.
Well, this is going to make it for a really interesting experiment then. So basically, flavour-wise, ube can share the sweet, earthy taste, and it can have more nutty flavours with subtle floral undertones, and it can be a little bit more vanilla-like. So some people have described it as a combination of vanilla and sweet potato, because I think there's this misunderstanding as well that, like, if it's like a lot of times people go, oh, yam, sweet potato, so it's got to be this. But actually it's like a sweet potato, but more of a vanilla tasting sweet potato. The notes those tasting notes make it quite versatile to work with. So like ube ice cream has become really, really popular in the more recent years. So be really interesting to see, because I think smell wise it smells sweet.
It smells sweet. It smells like vanilla. It smells like marshmallow.
Yeah, marshmallow, but weirdly, I almost get like banana bread. I don't know why.
Oh, interesting. I get like a bit of coconut.
I think it's the coconut, but like because I make banana bread, I'll put chocolate chips into it and stuff as well. It tastes like chocolate chip banana bread, and I think that is coming through like... When I say banana bread, I don't mean almost like the banana flavours of it, like the banana element of it. It's just that sweetness and some elements of like chocolatiness, but vanilla-ness. Yeah, vanilla and marshmallow quite strong in this. It's interesting that ours look very different, but you're getting similar aroma.
Yeah, the same aroma. That's interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see how
green tinged head. Like I'm just see if I can get a picture of this so that that you can see how green it is. Like
I'm going to take a photo.
The color is not coming out in when you look at it.
So Jo has just sent me a photo that she's taking. So really hard to tell on that on the camera. I don't know if you can like superimpose the photo over it.
Yeah,
like
I probably can
or whatever, but
for the video.
It is proper. Yeah, if you're watching the
it's
video,
green, right?
It genuinely does look not even like green. It's not obvious green, but
no.
It looks like you said, like how you explained it of like food colouring.
Yeah,
green.
Like it's like a beer colour, like a regular kind of golden beer colour, but someone's dropped a little bit of green food colouring in it, and it does that almost kind of grey-black thing with the green.
Yes, it's
but I can see
I'm noticing
green, like a green tinge to the white head, which is really weird. Do you know what? I've got another glass different. Here.
It's so
I'm going to see if I can take out the rest of it and see if maybe it needed a swirl, whether that's... No, it's definitely green. That's so green.
I didn't swirl mine at all.
Like I've got green nail varnish on. It's so green.
Bizarre.
Mine's just that's weird. So mine's green.
People don't know whether listen to this like we get it. It's green.
It's green. It's green. Okay.
We are so shooketh that we cannot move past that.
No.
And people
it smells right though.
It's green.
Sorry guys, it's green.
Bizarre. Mine is I think as I was expecting, not as purple as I was expecting.
I'm sad it's not purple.
Even holding it,
I can see it.
It's very clearly there, but it's still really dark. So unless you really have the light under it, I think in photos it looked more like it was a very obvious purple, and it's not that way inclined. So I reckon there's probably some Photoshop magic happening there, to be honest. But either way, it smells really lovely. So quite excited. Let's have a sip. I want to know how I don't want to say anything because I want to know what because yours is definitely the one that's more off-piste compared to mine. So
it's quite bitter. And then there is that kind of vanilla background. It's kind of like there's like a bit of burnt sugar in mine. What does yours taste like?
I wouldn't say bitterness because the bitterness for me is quite minimal. I think burnt sugar, yes.
Yeah.
More like caramelly tones,
yeah.
Yes. Vanilla, yes. Sweetness, yes. But I think there's towards the back end of it, there's a little bit of bitterness, but a balancing bitterness, so it's not actually sickly sweet. Mouthfeel wise, it's pretty like medium to full bodied, very smooth, like pillowy smoothness on mine.
I wonder if mine's oxidized.
I wonder if it is.
I wonder if something's happened to mine because mine is not right. Like it's very bitter. I'm not getting like oxidized flavors from it though. It's just very bitter. There's something not right with mine.
That's what I find incredibly interesting is the fact that like we've got two same cans purchased from the same place. Mine was stored in the fridge. I'm assuming yours was.
Yeah, mine's been in the fridge.
You've got your beer fridge. Yeah, so it's really interesting that we've had the visuals completely different, the aromas the same.
Yeah,
from what I gather, very similar. The flavors, some of the same flavors, but your bitterness is much higher than mine is, from what it sounds.
Yeah.
Interesting as hell. From the ube perspective,
yes.
I can tell you as well, like a little bit more about that. It contains vitamins C and A as well as potassium, so that's another reason why people tend to like to use that, because all that the antioxidant goodness and the vitamins that are in it is quite good. In terms of, so I thought you'd like this, putting my doom and gloom hat on. I thought you'd like this, like putting my doom and gloom hat on, so I thought you'd like this. It can be challenging in terms of cultivation because it's so sensitive to temperature and the conditions in which it's grown. It requires a tropical climate and well-draining soil for optimal growth, which obviously in current state of affairs with unpredictable climates and temperatures being warmer than they should be at times when they should be colder and vice versa is probably not ideal. The plants are known. What's interesting, these plants are known to have a positive effect on the soil health due to their ability to fix nitrogen. So it actually improves the soil fertility and reduces the need for synthetic fertilizers, which I thought was really interesting. And when I looked into it as well, it was like quite a heavy, in terms of like agriculture, it's quite reliant, something that they really put a lot of effort into in those areas of Asia as well. So I believe I also read something, I can't see any notes for it now, but I believe I also read something that's like it accounts for like a lot of like tourism revenue as well, like when people go there, they want to kind of like see these places. But yeah, that was a little bit about what ube is, and it's this for me because I think mine's probably the way it should be.
I've put mine to one side because I don't think we should be using it to judge the beer on.
I think from my perspective, the pastry stout wise, like there is that sweetness to it, and actually I think it's quite nice because it's not too sweet, because sometimes I find, I don't know, pivoting's like, because obviously you can't talk about it, but in terms of the pastry stouts in general, I tend to find that sometimes they're almost like too, I know you're expecting them to be sweet, but sometimes I almost find them sickly sweet and there's no balance, whereas this one I actually feel has, for me, the correct version of it, quote unquote, feels like there has some balance to it, so it's not overly sweet and it's not so syrupy that it's hard to drink. I will say this one's a 10.5% and it doesn't taste massively boozy.
I wonder if the alcohol's done something to this.
Is that something that can happen? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like I saw somewhere else that there was a beer that had an interesting colour, but then the alcohol in the can like re-fermented or something, and it changed it. I feel like I might have read that somewhere. I could equally be making it up, but yeah, mine's not right, so we're going to ignore it.
But in terms of like pastry sours in general, like, do you often find that, at least more recently, the trend of pastry sours, they have been on the sweeter side? Because I think for me, or have you found that they are, when I say on the sweeter side, like, we know they're sweet, but I find that they're really, really rich and sickly sweet and thick and syrupy, and that's not my jam. Whereas this is pillowy, smooth and soft and full, but not syrupy for me. It's not syrupy.
Definitely something wrong with mine, because mine's quite thin, so I think there's been a bit of maybe re-fermentation in the can. Diagnosing problems as we go along. I do find, like, I like a pastry stout, but it's still got to be drinkable, even if it's interesting. And I can see where, if people have had some of these very syrupy, thick, so sweet beers, people will turn around and be like, well, why are you doing that? Like, to some people it's not pleasant. And if you're drinking something, especially when they're high ABV, packed with ingredients, so therefore potentially more expensive to buy as well, and more expensive to brew, then it's got to be something that you are having a pleasurable experience from. So people might go, well, why did you do that? Because we didn't. You've got to really get the balance right, and it's still got to be drinkable, even if it's interesting.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because I think you can whack a bunch of adjuncts in something, but if it's not balanced, or balanced towards the wrong set of, not the wrong set of flavors, but there's nothing to sort of pull that area of flavors back, it can almost make it unenjoyable. Like, I've got, I wouldn't say I've got like I've got quite a heavy sweet tooth, but I find if a pastry, and that's why I look forward to pastry stouts, because pastry stouts and pastry sours, I'm like, oh, I want that like bit of sweetness in it. But if it's too much and it's syrupy, and then also when you have these stouts that are like higher ABV, double digit ABVs, the booziness balanced with that, just for me, just makes it so much and so heavy that I can't sit there and actually enjoy it. Yeah. And that's where I think when we talk about like, some people want these, 440ml cans. For me, and I obviously know for you, it's completely different as well, because yours is 330ml can of this. It feels perfect. I wouldn't be able to do 440ml of it. I think arguably, even if I could get it in that slightly smaller, in the 250, I think I'd even enjoy that.
I'm a big advocate for high ABV beers, like these big thick beers being available in slightly smaller containers. Because, like, if you're out at a bar, you can get a third of it and enjoy it and, carry on your session. Whereas if you're at home and you've got a whole 440ml can, like, controversial people, sometimes I don't drink the whole can. And it's not because it was a bad beer or I didn't enjoy it. It's because I didn't want 440ml of it. And I was just like, this is great. This is the point where I've enjoyed it. Yeah, and I don't have anybody to share it with. And it's like when you get the big beers in 750ml, I've got a lot of really lovely beers currently in my house, but I haven't had a chance to share them with anybody. So they're still sitting there. So I like a slightly smaller pour so I can really enjoy it and savour it. And I've come to a point now where I drink out of tasting glasses a lot of the time, because I can have like a third of something and really enjoy it and then be like, yeah, I'm done.
But then you can also decide, like, no, I want more of this.
Or I top it up and I'm really enjoying this and I do want some more of it. Like, and even I really enjoy a third of something and I'm like, but now I'm done. And don't let people tell you that you can't do that. If you've bought the beer, it's up to you what you do with it now.
And it doesn't mean it's bad either. And
no, it doesn't mean it's bad
as well. I think it's hard as well, though, because when you're buying, why I sort of like the idea of smaller cans as well is because when you're, especially the more adjuncts you put in it and the more high-end adjuncts you put in it, the more expensive it becomes, and the higher ABV, especially with all the duty and everything else that we won't sort of like get into, that obviously makes that price point go up as well. And the more money you pay as a consumer, the more money you pay for something, especially the tastier it is as well. Like, the more you're like, well, I really, really want to have that whole can. I paid for this can. I really want to have this whole can. But like, sometimes it's just, you can really enjoy it in that smaller quantity, but you almost feel pressure because of how much money
you've spent on it
and how much time and effort it took to make the beer and how unique it is and how all these different factors, you kind of go, I guess I have to drink all of it. And I think there can sometimes be a tipping point of when you go really enjoying it, really enjoying it, really enjoying it. But if you're almost forced to drink more than you're really wanting to, for whatever reason, that can tip, and actually you start going, I don't like it actually as much as I thought I did. Especially like with certain beers, if it takes longer to drink it and the temperature needs to be at a colder temperature, but it's taking you longer because it's a sipper and one to actually sit on and enjoy. Sometimes it's like that can make a difference as well. So
definitely,
I think I would have loved this in like a smaller can size as well, because there's 330 mils of it. The sweetness in it is very sweet in a good way. Like, I really enjoy it, and it's the right amount of sweet where it's not too much so for me. But I would probably enjoy having a smaller, it's very rare that I say it, but I probably enjoy having a slightly smaller serving size of it.
Definitely.
Oh my goodness, look at what it's done.
It's so purple. Yours is so purple there.
I swear there was just bits sitting on it, but that might have just been my weird viewpoint. Hold on.
No, I can see it,
It's
clinging
not
to the glass.
What
is it the thickness of the base?
It's the glass. It's the glass. I thought something was sticking to the bottom of this, and I was like, oh, what is that? But it's not. False alarm. Yeah, I'm really gutted that yours isn't.
Yeah, I am.
In terms of, was it a gimmick or not? Because I think that's like the question that people had when it came out of, is this a gimmick? If you're looking for purple colour, let's take Joe's out of the mix.
Yeah, take mine out.
Obviously wasn't right. If you're looking for it to be purple, I think I'd aim more towards gimmick. Like, you don't get it because I wouldn't buy it because I'd say, oh, I want a purple beer, because you're not going to get that aesthetic, photogenic purple that you're probably looking for without editing the photo somehow. If you want to kind of get a feel for ube and what it tastes like, and I think based on the tasting notes I found for it, this matches pretty well, and it will give you a pretty good idea.
Yes, interesting flavour to use, definitely.
Right. Should we move on, because you're not able to actually drink?
No.
Should we move on to the
let's move on to our next one,
which is our whopping 15.5%.
15.5%, yeah.
And he was genuinely like, that is like, because I didn't even know. I said, oh, it's higher ABV, so we have to do this on a weekend. There's no way I'm doing this on a weeknight. And I didn't really know. I just had them all out on the counter as I was putting things away. And he was like, that's 15.5%. And I was
like a bottle of wine.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah, so our last one is double deep fried Mars bar from Vault City.
As if I wasn't going to get this.
Neon Raptor. I know, this was when this came out, you had to be hot on it to get these.
You thankfully sorted it for
I
us.
did.
I wouldn't have been able to, because I was like, I think it was the middle of the work day. I was like, I can't.
Or something.
I was in the middle of something. I had a meeting. I was like, I'm never going to be able to get it. So.
And I was like, I think we need to get these for our interesting ingredients. That'd be a good supplement.
I would have bought it anyways, because this is.
It's just fun, right? This is fun. This is what you're taking away as well. If you stop people from doing interesting things, putting weird shit in their beer, you don't get fun beers like this.
The question is, though, have you ever had a deep fried Mars bar?
No. Have you had a deep fried Mars bar? You have?
I have. Yeah.
Where did you have it?
Edinburgh.
Oh, you did have it in Scotland?
Yeah. I also had what I believe is called pizza crack, which is
fried
pizza.
Deep fried pizza, yeah. Apparently,
didn't hate
this
is controversial. This is really controversial.
Yeah.
especially in my household.
In your house, definitely in your house.
No, this is even when we had it. It was before. I feel like we've had Pizzagate here. It's before we got the pizza oven and we could really like judge on it. We were having frozen pizzas when I had this, but I was like, actually, unfortunately, we put vinegar on it, because it was like chip shop, like chips, vinegar, like that kind of stuff. So a little bit of the vinegar on the chips on it. And I was like, I don't like vinegar. So I was like, this is a bit much for me. On the pizza, not the deep fried Mars bar.
Yeah.
But I was like, actually, in isolation,
deep fried pizza. I mean, someone said to me,
quite late at night.
Someone said to me the other day, someone was like saying about deep fried Mars bar, and a Scottish person was like, oh, such a gimmick. And they're like, yeah, but what about deep fried pizza? And they were like, oh yeah, deep fried pizza, that's totally
great.
Like that's standard. Deep fried pizza, yes. Deep fried Mars bar, no.
Deep fried Mars bar, is it gimmick, yes or no? I actually don't think it's gimmick.
No.
But I think it's that's like saying any dessert's a gimmick, isn't
Yeah.
it? It's like I think that it's just a dessert. Like you wouldn't be like cheesecake gimmick, or churros gimmick. No, you're just like, it's just a dessert. It just is what it is. My only complaint was when I had it. Obviously, like I said, it was quite late in the evening. Take that as you will.
Yeah.
It probably had been sat under the heat lamp.
Oh, was it not crispy?
It was crispy,
on
but
the outside?
I would almost say like it was too rich because it was just so heavy and just so much like. I needed vanilla ice cream with it, I think.
Okay.
I needed some vanilla ice cream.
You needed the full gourmet experience, not just getting it to take away from the chip shop.
I needed...
In your newspaper paper.
I needed the posh bitch experience where I was like, I need to put
the Michelin star version.
A deconstructed
bougie.
Mars bar.
You're so bougie. Oh my God.
I can be bougie. But in this case, I was having it at a chip shop in a corner fish and chippy in Scotland at like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning or something, and it was good, but I was just like, I need some. It was so much stodge. I was like, I just need some vanilla ice cream to break up this intense chocolate overload and richness, but it's good. Love it. So that's what's really excited for this beer.
Yeah, I'm excited. They put actual deep fried Mars bars in it.
So it's double deep fried Mars bar. What's the double deep fried aspect of it?
I don't know. I think they just did that because it's like DDH, right? Because it's like double dry hop, so it's like double deep fried.
Because I was trying to work it out. Like, can you have a double? Yeah, well.
I mean, I suppose you could, because you do like triple. You do like triple cooked chips.
Twice? I don't know.
Like you do triple cooked chips, right? So maybe they do double.
In my brain, I was like, did they fry it and then fry it again? Like,
yeah, I mean, maybe they did. Maybe. No, I think it's just to do with like double dry hopped. I think that it's vocabulary rather than process.
What I thought was really interesting was I was looking up some bit because in my searches for like, is there such a thing as double deep fried Mars?
Right.
Like I need to know.
Oh, you actually went and looked.
I was trying to look just to see if that was a thing. Didn't find anything. But what I did find was, interestingly, in what looks to be 2020, Northern Monk collabed with Pilot to make a deep fried caramel chocolate bar stout.
Oh,
interesting. And I think that was the same. So it was the Patrons Project. I reckon this is probably the similar one where they did the ice cream, because this is with, it says Sarah Paris Culinary Adventures, Edinburgh, Northern Monk, Pilot, deep fried caramel chocolate bar. I think this is the one where we had the Mr. Whippy one of it.
Yeah, I remember.
I think this is the same series, but I didn't even realise that. And I was like,
no, I've not seen it.
Never had it, so I can't really say how that one is to even try to compare it to this. And it's not fair to compare because they're probably two completely separate things anyways. But thought that was interesting, so I thought I'd mention that. If someone has had it, let us know how you get on.
Yeah, let us know.
Can we crack this? I want to.
Yeah.
I love the label too. The label's so good. I'm smelling it in the can and I like it.
That pour though, she thick.
That pour though. Yeah, the head on that is good. I'm using my Vault City glass because it feels correct. Look at that thick ass head. That brown, cocoa coloured.
Smells like a Mars bar.
It really does. You really get the caramelly notes in it. I'm super, super psyched for this. I've got some fun facts and stuff about deep fried Mars bars and the history behind them and stuff, but I want to have this first, so.
It is a beautiful.
Get into all that.
It's a beautiful dark brown. It's got a lovely tan head that's lingering there. It smells like Mars bar. Oh, it smells just rich.
0.5%. It does smell boozy. It smells like it's going to be
It's all right. It's Sunday afternoon. Cheers. Let's get in it.
Cheers. This is what I mean, though, like with a syrupy.
Mate.
Not in a bad way. Like, this isn't so syrupy thick. That what I was talking about before with the syrupy thick is when it is literally syrup and you're like, this is unenjoyable. Yeah. This still has this really velvety mouthfeel to it that sort of like it borders on that thick syrupy element, but it still stays relatively like light, and it's full on. I don't know the best way to, but when you think about
Full
like
is the word.
nougat, but when you think about like nougat, and you kind of go, oh, that is light and fluffy, but still quite full and velvety and everything. Like that is what I think about with this, even though it's not necessarily like nougat flavor, if you know what I mean.
And it's got that beautiful caramel flavour in it, and there's chocolate notes in there. But also there's just a touch of something savoury. Just a little touch. And I think it's very, very subtle. And that savoury is just stopping it from being too sweet.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying now that you say that. It's not too sweet. It's very sweet, but not too sweet.
It does not taste 15.5%.
It tastes boozy, but it doesn't taste 15.5%.
No. Danger. Will
Danger
Robinson.
Noodle.
Danger.
Danger noodles right here. I can see how after like half of this glass, though, if you drink it too quickly, it's probably easy to drink quickly.
You
remember ice cream in this? A scoop of ice cream in this would be fucking banging.
You could reduce this down and make it into a ice cream sauce.
You probably could. It does have that element. The chocolatey does come across very chocolate sauce.
Yeah.
Like
you remember last episode when I was talking about session stouts, and I was like, there are stouts you can drink where you can drink them and then not stand up and fall over. Drink this and stand up and fall over.
100%. 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm glad it's Sunday afternoon.
I've got to go do a D&D session after this. This is going to be fun.
You're going to have fun.
I'm so lucky that I'm playing a bard. I'm just going to
sit there, strum your instrument.
I've got many instruments to choose from. I'm basically like a rogue / but it's great. So this is going to make for a very creative session.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to get nothing accomplished in this session from my perspective, because I'm going to be like, let's play one more song. Let's have another drink. Like, yeah, I'm getting into character.
Yeah,
my character likes to drink a lot. So I may have low-key also, can I just say, slight tangent, I may have also in D&D started a brewery, because I just...
Oh my god!
Somebody was selling alcohol. Somebody was selling alcohol, and I was like, so I like to just be like, my bard is actually a stand-up comedian that's like traveling around,
right?
And I was just like, this is really great, and I was like, you know what? I'd like to invest, and I just like, I think I like tried to buy this brewery. And I didn't expect it to work, but I was able to bullshit my way through. Like, do you even know who I am? Like, I would make my branding would make your beer really good. And they were like, yeah, it worked. It absolutely worked. So now we've been taking my beer on the road, and I was like, I get commission, I think, out of it. So this is great. This helps me get thematic. It helps me get ready for D&D. I'm all for this.
There you go.
But this is so like. On a cold night, this is going to keep you warm.
When
I say it's boozy, it's more the boozy warmth than it is the actual, like, it's not alcohol burn, it's more the boozy warmth.
Yeah. You can just start it, you feel it start warming your chest without realising it. I'm super sorry again, listeners, because this sold out. So if you have not got it in your stash and you haven't already drunk it, you're not going to get it. And I'm sorry for you, because it's real good.
To be fair, you might find it at a shop that doesn't have like an online.
You might do. Yeah, someone might have it still.
Because this one's not as old as, say, the Elixir.
No.
The Elixir,
may the odds be ever in your favour if you want to go find this.
Again, make a friend that has it and invite them round. Tell them you'll make them a deep fried Mars bar. I wonder if you could make a deep fried Mars bar in like an air fryer.
You probably could.
Yeah, just tell them you'll make them like a knockoff. Tell them you'll make them a deconstructed deep fried Mars bar.
So how are we making our deconstructed deep fried Mars bar?
So you're gonna.
This is the thing, because I feel like it needs to be
in true D&D style. I'm gonna bullshit my way through this.
I feel like it needs. This is the element that it must have. I think is like a deep fried.
Bro, I've got you.
Deep fried batter, like tweel that goes on the top. No. I mean, that's what mine's gonna have. Continue.
You are going to have a churro base. It's going to be like a churro bowl.
Why is it churro?
Well, it doesn't have to be churro. It could be like fried dough. We're going to go like, I don't know, some type of
Why
fried
dough?
crispy element, because there's got to be the fried crispy
Yeah,
element.
but that's
bottom.
batter. It's got to be batter, not dough. Dough changes the flavours of it. I'll fight you on this.
Gives it more sustenance. I feel like it's going to give it. So in my version, it's okay. We're each going to pitch our version of it, and you can tell us listeners which one you want to eat more. So it's either going to be like a fried dough ball, like a bowl, not ball.
Okay.
Or a churro bowl, but not like a seasoned one. And then we're going to have like a layer of like the caramel on it. You're going to have the nuts in there as well. You're going to have some like chocolate drizzled over it. And then we're going to be like, boom, we're going to put a scoop of vanilla ice cream on top of it.
See, this is not how I see it. This is not how I see it.
I'm not, because you're going Michelin star.
I am going Michelin star.
I am going with the people.
Okay.
I am taking the people stance on this. What can you make at home?
This is what I want. I want like a thin layer of like something chocolate. Mousse is too light. It needs to be something a little bit denser, like maybe set mousse.
I'd like to change my answer. I want mousse in mine too.
Too late.
I've just my chocolate element. I've put mousse in it and then drizzled it with chocolate sauce.
Stop it. So kind of like a dense kind of maybe chocolate torte, then like a nougat mousse. Then you're going to drizzle it with caramel. You're then going to have a batter twirl and some vanilla ice cream.
So I think yours is obviously more visually appealing.
Yes.
We understand
that. Sprinkle like ice and sugar some ice and sugar on that shit. Done.
I'm gonna actually deep fry. So on mine, I'm actually gonna deep fry batter. Like I'm gonna deep fry it, and then I'm gonna just mush it up and sprinkle that on the top.
I believe they refer to that as crumb or sand.
Yeah, I'm going to sand it across the top. I'm not going to crumb. I'm going to sand it right across the top.
Who watches too much MasterChef?
I tried watching MasterChef the other time, but I think the other night, but I just came in after they were already so far along, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know who I'm supposed to root for. So. Yours is okay. Yours is obviously Michelin starred.
Thank you.
Mine's for the people though. So
whatever.
There you go.
The people will enjoy mine too.
The people enjoy both in their own ways. We're both equally as good as each other. Just saying, I changed it, and mine definitely has mousse now. Do you want me to talk to you a bit about the deep fried Mars bar?
Yes, please.
So it's believed that the deep fried Mars bar was created in the mid-90s in Aberdeenshire in Scotland in a town called Stonehaven after a local fish and chip shop started experimenting with deep frying various foods. So basically the facts I'm going to give you right now, the facts, quote unquote. This is just what I found from browsing across numerous articles and like validating across numerous articles about what the myth of the deep fried Mars bar is, because it's not like there's like
deep fried Mars bar. That sounds like a great book.
That's the name of our episode. The myth of the deep fried Mars bar. No,
that doesn't make sense to anything else that's in it, though.
Basically, there's no like one exact science history to it.
Right.
So I've just fact checked across various different articles that I could find, and that was sort of like where it was believed to have started. It varies depending on things like the size and the batter. This is what I thought was interesting. It varies depending on the size of the batter used, what size Mars bar you're using. If it's like a standard, I guess the average is about 51 grams. If you're going with one that's average, that contains about the 51 grams size of the Mars bar. It contains roughly 230 to 260 calories before you deep fry it. And once you fry it, it's estimated to be anywhere between 600 and 1,000 calories.
Bloody hell.
And that's before you do my idea of put a scoop of ice cream.
Put an ice cream with it as well. Good God, don't tell Rick.
I would have a mental breakdown. I don't think we could.
What else are you eating today? That's your entire calories for the day.
Yeah, he'd be like, that's your day. You're done.
Yeah, done.
End of. And there's nothing nutritious there. And then
not that we both know our husbands really well or anything. Our friends' husbands really well or anything.
True. And then from an article, this is what I thought when I said about the myth of it. from an article that apparently dated back to around 2003, 2004. So around 2003, 2004, the public health experts in Scotland conducted a survey to prove deep-fried Mars bars were real. Because there was this myth that it wasn't real. And their results were published in 2004, showing that it was in fact real. And they were sold in nearly a quarter of the fish and chip shops throughout Scotland. And they were selling an average of 23 pieces a week.
Wow. I mean, that's interesting facts, right? But that's what you put money into research-wise rather than, I don't know, curing cancer. Like, you know what I mean?
All these things are like, but we need to prove, guys.
We need to
prove that this is not just a myth, that people are having these items.
That was a super useful use of money, genuinely, I can see.
Very useful. It's the best use of resources. But apparently it became, like, the deep-fried Mars bar became so famous that the Mars company supposedly wrote a letter to that initial shop that started it, stating that it didn't match the company's promotion of health and living, and it asked to post a disclaimer within the menu and on the wall. But later, because of public backlash, they actually expressed approval and borderline pride for the deep-fried Mars bar, though they still were like, we don't endorse it, though. It's still not healthy, we don't endorse it, but...
Because Mars bars are so healthy.
But they were like, no, what we're doing is that is like, you know, a bit of treat yourself. This is, you know, a bit of extravagance.
Indulgent.
This is over the top. Yeah, we are indulgent. This is gluttony. Like, there's a big...
Oh my God.
Step up. Yeah. So yeah, those are the interesting facts.
Those are brilliant. I think those are the best facts we've had today.
It was really hard to find facts on deep fried Mars bars, though, because it's like the myths.
Because it's not real. It's like Nessie and the deep fried Mars bar. They are connected.
Oh man, yeah, it is a bit like
that. Okay, right, we need to get the air quotes murder board out, and then we need to connect Nessie and the deep fried Mars bar.
Well, you never see them.
You never see them together. So how do you know? And how much do deep fried Mars bars cost? Because if they cost tree fiddy, we're in trouble.
I'm gonna need about tree fiddy.
The Loch Ness Monster needs about tree fiddy, and if that's how much a deep fried Mars bar is, what's happening here?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I paid something similar to that.
Oh my God, we're uncovering cryptic facts on the podcast right now.
I'm not saying aliens, but
mate.
Well, there you go. What else is there to say? I mean, there's nothing else. I feel like we just leave it there.
Mic drop. End of episode.
Make up your mind for yourself. Are deep fried Mars bars real? Do they cost about tree fiddy? I don't know.
Is it linked? Is it the Loch Ness Monster?
Is he the one that's selling them? We don't know.
Oh my God.
There you go. Make up your own minds. Anyways, Joe, if people want to talk to you about deep fried Mars bars, I just want that to be the transition to the end.
Please come and talk to me about the connection between the Loch Ness Monster and deep fried Mars bars, because this is what we need to spend our research money on. This is what we really need to find. Like, we now need to find this connection. If you want to find this information out with me, you can get hold of me at my beer school, which is Love Beer Learning, and we are
uncovering the truth
at Love Beer Learning. We are on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Pinterest. You can also come to my website. That might now be getting an overhaul, and it's now going to be finding out about the truth behind deep fried Mars bars. That is lovebeerlearning.co.uk. The blog is getting an overhaul, and that's what we're going to start researching on there. You can also email me, lovebeerlearning@gmail.com. Tori, if people would like to talk to you about and find out about the existence of purple sweet potatoes, maybe they're not real. Maybe we've been lied to about that as well. Where can they get hold of you?
I mean, I can say that I have tried a lot of these different things, so I can validate in the team they are real. But I mean, I don't know. We can all be skeptical. That's fine. If you want to talk to me about my deep fried Mars bar experience or what I know about ube, You can find me on Instagram, mostly on Instagram at adventures_in_optimism. I've got links there to all my things. Some of them are dead links, some of them are active links. I still haven't got around to changing it because I haven't been that long back post-holiday. So come find me on there. Or if you want to talk to Joe and I together as a harmonious group, you want to just tell us how ridiculous we are drinking a 15.5% beer and talking about the Loch Ness Monster. You can find us both on A Woman's Brew, and that is on Instagram. We are also on Twitter, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think I've got access to that account, but I'm not looking at it. If I do, it's mainly
Sometimes I look at it
on there. So Joe will probably get back to you on Twitter. I'll probably get back to you on Instagram. Or you can
we're on Facebook as well. But
yeah, we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook as well at A Woman's Brew. Or you can email us at awomansbrewpodcast@gmail.com. You can tell us to never drink a 15.5% and have the giggles again. So
it wasn't as bad as that time we had the litre of Imperial Stout. It wasn't that bad. Cheers.